Welcome back to page 121. Today we're going to jump into the Greyhawk Adventures book by James Ward from 1988, and we're going to look at a monster. Yes, this book literally had everything, including monsters. We're going to look at the Swordwraith. I have used this guy many times in my campaigns, and it's a great monster and one you can build around. The Swordwraith, otherwise known as the Stark Mounds undead spirit. Stark Mounds are between Jeff and Sterich on the World of Greyhawk map. But they can be in any island, any land environment, old battlegrounds usually. Frequency is rare, military unit organization. They're active at night. Intelligence is 8 to 10. They are lawful evil. Reaction modifier +3. Number appearing 2 to 8. Armor class 3. 7 hit dice. I don't use Thaco. 3 to 2 attacks as a fighter of 7th level. 1 to 10 damage per attack. Special attacks are strength drain. +2 or better weapons to be hit. They have standard magic resistance. They are medium creatures. And they're worth 1,000 experience points +5 per hit point. So basically, Swordwraiths are the spirits warriors cut down at the height of battle and kept from dissolution of death by their own indomitable will. Their physical appearance, they are only seen at night or underground where the sun never shines. Swordwraiths appear as warriors, garbed in armor and armed with assorted weapons of war. Although the armor and weapons are unremarkable, the flesh within appears insubstantial. Also be interesting to note, too, that the armor and the weapons can be very old and outdated. Under certain lighting conditions, all that can be seen are 2 glowing eyes within the shadow of the helmet. Swordwraiths reek of mold and decay, but this scent is carried by their armor and weapons, not by the creatures themselves. They are surrounded by an aura of intense cold, uncomfortable, but not enough to cause damage. So if you're around one of these things, you're pretty sure, yeah, this guy's not still alive. In combat, Swordwraiths, when they were alive, were hardened warriors. And even as undead, they retain their knowledge of strategy and tactics. They fight small unit engagements with textbook precision, know exactly when to attack, give ground, and counterattack. They're intelligent and speak a common tongue of humanity, and therefore they might accept parley, but only if it's asked by someone they consider their military equal. I give them common tongue and then whatever regional tongue might exist if there's any. Swordwraiths attack as normal warriors would with their varied weapons. No matter what weapon is used, the damage is the same, 1 to 10 hit points. Each hit also drains 1 point of strength from the victim. That's devastating. If a victim's strength reaches 0, death occurs. Strength lost to a Swordwraith's attack can only be regained by a complete rest, 1 point per day of total inactivity, or through a wish, limited wish, or equally potent magic. I would allow Alter Reality to also do that. I would actually also allow a wish. Wish cannot do everything, but I just kind of like a wish here. And that's strictly a home rule. There's not much to support that beyond the fact that that's kind of my bias. Swordwraiths can be harmed only by +2 or better weapons. They are totally immune to sleep, charm, and other mind-affecting spells. They are turned as vampires. So this continues on. They're pretty good entry for these guys. Their habitat in society. Swordwraiths were once professional soldiers, officers and mercenaries, or others for whom fighting was all there was in life. Though slain on the field of battle, their will is such that they are unable to leave behind the trait of violent death. In many cases, their stubbornness is such they won't admit, even to themselves, that they are in fact dead. Swordwraiths are totally free-willed and have no kinship toward other undead. In fact, they hate the mindless lack of discipline that characterizes most other undead. Creatures are active only at night or underground where sunlight cannot reach. Their bodies were typically interred in barrows or burial mounds. During daylight hours, intruders into such barrows may meet Swordwraiths preparing for their nocturnal activities. Swordwraiths congregate in small units and councils of war, planning and executing midnight raids on settlements near their battleground resting places. They are also likely to attack any traveling party unwise enough to spend the night within their territory. The lawful part of their alignment refers to loyalty to their group, to the other Swordwraiths, and no one else. Swordwraiths gather no loot and occupy no captured territory as a result of these raids. They fight because fighting is all they know. If Swordwraiths have a credo that they, quote, live by, unquote, it would have to be, mercenaries don't die, they just go to Hades and regroup. They speak the common tongue of humankind. And they got one little blurb here. Swordwraiths are common in the Stark Mounds region. probably as a result of the ancient territorial disputes between Jeff and Sterich or their forebears. But they can be found in any other parts of the world that boast old battlefields and war graves. And their niche is Swordwraiths consume and produce nothing. Their only victims are travelers who wander into their territory and the occupants of nearby settlements. So that's a lot to unpack on these guys. So basically, let's take a look at them physically. They appear insubstantial within their armor. Their armor could be old and outdated. There's nothing that says the armor has to be magical, but I absolutely have used magical armor and magical weapons with these guys. One other significant change I've made is they are listed as level 7 and they are 7 hit dice. I give them weapon specialization for whatever weapon's appropriate, usually a longsword. And I give them double weapon specialization. So they are +3 to hit, +3 damage. And they attack twice in a round as a 7th level fighter. Keeping in mind they drain 1 hit point or 1 point of strength each time they hit in addition to damage. Also, I will give them magic items, and if they have an exceptional strength bonus, they get that as well. These become incredibly formidable for up to 10th or 11th level party if you put in a couple, as I've just described, working in unison. The other thing is they're intelligent. They are still very sentient. They're still very aware about fighting and fighting tactics and techniques. What they're not aware of is possibly their own state of living or being dead. But the important part of what I just said is they are intelligent. There's no reason these guys couldn't develop some kind of desire to maybe conquer an area. And I've done that in my campaigns, where I had some Swordwraiths get together and say, the heck with this, we could conquer this area, and then we could fight our neighbors. Let's do that. And then they gather mercenaries and such, but they were leading the army. And I actually based a game around that years ago, about a 3 or 4 part game, where they had to deal with the Swordwraiths gathering a living army to fight for them. Another great way to use the Swordwraith is unfinished business. This guy is still alive for some reason because of his force of will. Well, maybe it's like a ghost where he has to accomplish something. So I actually did a campaign, or a mini campaign. It was an inside a campaign. It was about a 3-parter where the player characters had to escort the Swordwraith as he finished his unfinished business. And he was still lawful evil, and he did some things that appalled them, but at no time did he turn on them because they were in fact his comrades, and they were helping him accomplish his final task. That one was a lot of fun. I got a lot of role-playing out of that. I was able to role-play the Swordwraith. I named him, everything. It was a lot of fun and just a great role-playing opportunity. That's really what drew me to these guys as I was reading them. They're incredibly dangerous. They're turned as vampires, which isn't that tough if you're on 10th level or so. But they're also highly intelligent and battle savvy. They're going to come back. And then if you encounter them in their graves, which is shown here, yes, you could find yourself facing 4 or 5 of these guys on their home turf that they may have prepared traps. They may have booby traps hidden around there, or they certainly will know the area very well. So a Swordwraith that is unarmed could dash over to a corner and grab a previously stashed weapon and take that up and fight the players when the players went in thinking they were going to be battling an unarmed creature. As undead, of course, there's no shock or anything for any spells that are cast on them, and any mind affecting, of course, they're immune to. They're immune to poison. Just a lot of stuff that these guys would not really have a problem with. So there you have it. That's a look at one of my favorite monsters, and we got this guy out of Monsters of Greyhawk, the Monsters of Greyhawk section, out of the Greyhawk Adventures book. And I was pretty blown away when I first saw this book. I liked it. I didn't like some of the spells in here, but I got the theme that they were going for. But I definitely like a lot of the monsters, and I like that the monsters were in fact geared toward Greyhawk. So there you have it. That's all I've got today on page 121. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Please leave comments, like and subscribe. Take a look at the Patreon if you would, and I'll see you next time.